Good morning, Salt Lake City. What a gorgeous day. It's going to be hot, with highs reaching into the mid-90s, so break out those tank tops and swim trunks. In the studio with me, I have a special guest. Lloyd Pendleton is here to talk about the important issues of homelessness. Lloyd, begin by telling us a little bit about yourself.
I'm the director of the Homeless Task Force for the state of Utah. When I was reared in Utah, and then when I finished my graduate degree, I went to Ford Motor Company in Detroit, Michigan. And was there 14 years, then I came back and worked for the LDS Church in the welfare department for 26 years.
Lloyd, tell us about the situation about homelessness here in Salt Lake City.
80% of the people who are homeless are temporarily homeless for 2 or 3 months. They leave and we don't see them. Then there's about 10% that are episodically homeless, in and out for a while. And then there's the chronically homeless, about 10%.
What do you mean by chronic homelessness?
About 10% of the homeless population are what is called chronically homeless. These are the long-term mental health, substance abuse issues. And they found there's about 300,000 they identified back in 2000, 2001.
We're talking with Lloyd Pendleton. He's director of Utah's Homeless Task Force. We'll be right back after this. We're talking to Lloyd Pendleton. He's head of the state's Homeless Task Force. So, Lloyd, you're very active in the homeless community. What's your perspective on those who find themselves in this situation?
I would come into Salt Lake, and I would see these homeless people, and I'd say, get a job, you bums. Because I had that idea that they're just lazy. So as I've gotten involved with this over the last 10 years, gotten a better understanding, I realized that a high percentage of these have been severely abused as children.
Would you say that a lot of people stereotype homeless people without really understanding their situation?
When you see that the homeless folks are citizens like us, have hopes and dreams, it changes my view and your view of who they are, rather than driving by in a car and say, oh, they're filthy people. Eyeball to eyeball is a very different experience than just seeing people drive by when you drive by.
My name is Joshua Ortega. This is my daughter Precious Ortega, my son Joseph Ortega, and little baby Ortega.
It's Anna Maria.
I'm Crystal Garcia.
My name is Esther Gonzalez.
Melissa.
My name is Aline, Angelique, Belisa, Kane, and Gabriel.
I'm Donald Zeiger. I'm with the Salt Lake Street News. I'm a homeless guy. Live over here at the homeless shelter.
Lost everything short, it all fell apart.
When I was 15, I ran away from home.
So my kids, they was taken from me.
I've lost a child to cancer, and I suffer from manic depression, so, I see flashbacks.
It's hard, but not impossible. What makes it easier is being with the family.
My mind was just going backwards and forwards. And Dr. Anthony told me I've been on schizophrenia ever since I was 9, and I didn't know it.
There's people out there that look down on the homeless, look down on the poor, look down on the people that are here. I was one of them until I stepped foot back in here.
This is not the place to be.
No matter who you are, the thing is you have to learn how to be happy with yourself. You can't appreciate yourself, you're on the losing side.
As long as me and my family are together, everything will be okay.
You just gotta believe in yourself. If you want it, you go for it.
So given all of the problems with homelessness, what's happening nationally to solve these homeless challenges?
A decision was made under the Bush administration to do a 10-year plan to end chronic homelessness in 10 years. I had heard about this and read about the 10-year planning process, and I read some 10-year plans. I said, yeah, they're smoking something. They're going to end chronic homelessness. I said, go away. I heard the research, heard the concept of housing first, and realized that if any state in the union could do it, it'd be the state of Utah.
So as the director of the Homeless Task Force, what specifically are you doing to find a solution?
We put together the 10-year plan in 2005. We created 12 local homeless coordinating committees. Each had a 10-year plan based on the state's 10-year plan. So we made a commitment that we were going to move forward in reaching out and getting housing opportunities. What's called the Housing First. And that was a new model. That was a whole new approach, because the old model had been you had to be clean, dry, and sober before you could get your housing. And if you lost, then you'd lose your housing. They said this idea was you would take a person right off the street, they've been on the street 15 years, and you put them into housing, and you would wrap services around them. You'd have case managers, you'd have supports, you would have social opportunities. When we started this pilot, I said, all right, we are going to find the most challenging, difficult, long-term, chronic consumers, chronically homeless individuals we could find, and we will put them into housing and try this pilot, because if we can house them, then we know that we can house anybody. So we started a pilot here at Palmer Court.
Well, on the topic of Palmer Court, we have Kelly Bowers. She's the Director of Supportive Services at Palmer Court, here to explain just what Palmer Court is.
Palmer Court is actually permanent supportive housing. So it is actually an apartment. It's the individual's apartment or family's apartment that they can live here forever. They get subsidy from one of the housing authorities, and they pay 30% of their income. So it's not a shelter. This is where they live. It's like your place or my place, where we can come and go from freely, and nobody has a right to enter without their permission.
So Lloyd, can you go into more detail about Palmer Court?
In Housing First, they can continue to drink just like you can drink in your house. And they're treated just like thee or me, and they need to pay their rent, which is 30% of their income, or $50, whichever is greater.
How did you get support for this program?
Research had found that a chronically homeless person can cost a community $20,000 to $50,000 a year in emergency services. So we used that, so we went to the political leaders and the investors to say, these individuals are costing you, and we as a community, a lot of money. And we can put them into housing with case management for around $8,000 to $9,000. We'll get there by the end of 2015.
Lloyd, anything else you'd like to say before we end?
If we see these individuals as broken, diseased, obnoxious, etc., that's how we will look and deal with it. And we see them as problem solvers with talents and skills. So it's helping them create a new dream, a house and some hope.